Jeanette. Welcome to Mat Pilates Level 1. We're going to do a 30-minute strengthening class on the mat today, mainly lying down, and that's how we'll start. So let's go ahead and come down into our neutral. Our tailbone is down, our lumbar curve is natural, shoulder blades are down. Elongate your hands and tighten up your triceps, pressing your shoulders to the floor. And inhale about half breath capacity. Exhale and tilt your pelvis under, or tuck your pelvis and elongate your lumbar curve to imprint into the mat. Inhale and come back. Exhale and imprint. Inhale, come back to neutral. Exhale, imprint. Do that 2 more times. Now, while you're doing this, I want you to think how you are not or should not be pressing against the feet or tightening up your bottom too much, your glutes too much. Really pull your pelvis into that tuck with your abdominals and then release them and go back to neutral. Now stay in neutral. And bring one leg up into tabletop and then the other. Let's go ahead and start with our knees hip joint width apart. We're going to start with some toe taps. We're going to take the thigh away from the body, tapping the toe onto the floor, and then bringing it back up with an exhale, inhaling as we take it away. We're keeping this nice, slow pace. As you're doing this, make sure your pelvis is not moving at all, nor is your lumbar curve. Rib cage is nice and still also, except for the top. Every time you exhale, you're tightening up those muscles and pulling those 2 halves of the rib cage toward each other. Now, if you want to progress this for the next 2 sets, you can take both feet down at the same time. If that bothers your back, stay with the singles, or if you feel your neck is straining, stay with the singles. And then let's go ahead and hold in tabletop. Find your neutral, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release one leg, and then the other. Let's rotate our neck right and left. And then we're going to go back into tabletop and take our feet and knees together this time. Now, for some people, this can be a challenge in the hip area or even just getting the knees together. So if your knees are separated, just make sure your ankles are separated the same distance. Let's find our neutral again. This time we're going to extend the right leg, bringing ankle to the foot, the left foot, bring it back, and extend the left leg. So we have a slight angle or diagonal to that leg as we extend it. That way we're getting both leg work and core work. We're doing this nice and slow. And we're exhaling as we extend this one. And inhaling as we come back. This will be the last one. And then let's go ahead and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Go ahead and relax and put one leg down at a time. We're going to do some classic Pilates today for our level 1 class. And so we're going to go ahead and take our legs back up into tabletop. We're going to do single knee stretch, which means we're going to ignore our tabletop lines. We're going to bring our abdominals nice and tight, curling our shoulder blades off of the floor. Bring our right knee in as far as it'll go and extend the left leg and just pull that knee in for a minute and feel a little bit of a stretch. Maybe across your knee, maybe across your glute. I know my hip flexors or my ellipsoid in the front of the hip doesn't always like this, so you don't have to pull super hard. And then we're going to let go for a minute and start moving those legs at a little faster pace. Now the outside hand, I want you to touch the ankle, the outside ankle that's coming in, and then the opposite hand can pull on the knee. If that's too much to coordinate, just stay lifted. Breathe and move those legs. Give me 4 more sets. 2 more sets. And then go ahead and release your head down and relax your body momentarily. Let's rotate the knees right and left as we allow our pelvis to rotate right and left. Let's do that for 2 more sets. The next abdominal work we're going to do, more classic Pilates, is crisscross. So we're going to support our head with our hands behind us, our head separated. And then our elbows are going to stay out to the side, not coming forward in the direction of your face, but out to the side like your ears. Legs are going to be exactly the same. So we'll start in tabletop. We'll exhale as we crunch up, and we'll get those legs going first. Now I want you to rotate, taking the shoulder to the opposite knee, trying to stay lifted throughout the time of doing this. Press your head against your hands, allowing your neck to release, and keep your elbows going outward from the center of the body. In other words, going to the right and left. Give me 4 more sets. 3, keep those shoulder blades lifted, and relax the head down. Take the arms and feet down. Rotate the neck left and right a couple of times. Keep the neck in center. Now rotate the knees, letting the hip come up. Feet are slightly separated. You can have feet together here too. Just limit your range of motion so that this is truly a release and not a full stretch. And then let's go ahead and hold center. So we're going to do one more. I'm just checking to see that I have room to swing my arms all the way around me. And I do. I want you to check that too. If not, I'll show you a modification first for double knee stretch. If you don't have room, you come up into tabletop. Respect your tabletop lines this time. You have that abdominal crunch. Take your hands on the outsides of your calves. Inhale as you open both sets of limbs so your arms are next to your ears. Exhale as you close. So we can just move the arms back and forth like this, or we can make circles around. And so I know my hand is hitting something on the right. I'm going to adjust. Let's get 3 more. Inhaling and exhaling. Now the key here is to keep the torso stable. No movement in the torso. And then release, head down, and feet down. Let's go ahead and rotate the neck again. So we're gonna finish our classic mat portion for the abdominals up with the 100. So right now decide what you're gonna do with your legs. Are you gonna stay in tabletop? Perhaps if you're a newer Pilates person, you might wanna keep your feet down like this, or alternate between tabletop and feet on the floor every 10 count. You can also extend the legs long or alternate between tabletop and extension. Inhale here, exhale and crunch up into 3, 4, 5, out 2, 3, 4, 10. Remember, these are breaths, little fast staccato, 20, in 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 30, or you might choose to have a steady breath during that time. 40, in 2, 3, 4, 5, out 2, 3, 4, 50, 2, 3, 4, 5, out 2, 3, 4, 60. Try to keep the torso as stable as possible. 70, make sure you're moving in the shoulders, not just the arms. 80, and the legs are tight. 90, in 2, 3, 4, 5, out 2, 3, 4, 100. Come on back. This time we're going to stretch the back, not just release it. Take your feet as wide as your body. Take your arms out to the side, palms down. Pinkies no higher than your shoulders. Get a visual on that. Let your knees drop to the right. Let your hip come up as high as it wants to. Don't force your knees to the floor. Let them hang. Now think about your left shoulder blade. Left shoulder blade is pressing down. Don't allow that to come up. That's your anchor to get this stretch. One more big breath. And then you're going to exhale and come back to center. Inhale and go the opposite direction. So remember, we're going to keep that shoulder blade down. So really press that right shoulder blade down and let your knees hang. Now, if that left side wants to go all the way down and did not take the right with it, that's okay. Or you can leave it up. There's probably a little bit of tension in the groin and inner thigh to leave it up. So just find what feels best for you. Elongate your neck so your chin isn't going up toward the ceiling. Exhale as you bring those legs back and release. So we're going to go into our bridge next. We're going to take our feet hip joint width apart. If you have knee issues, you're going to take your feet a little bit away from your bottom. Otherwise, you can get your ankles as close to your bottom as right under your knees, or find a space that feels right for you. Get all 5 toes on the floor. Press gently into your shoulders. Tighten up your triceps. Press in the center of the foot, not the outer nor inner. Inhale very largely. And slowly exhale as you articulate up. Very slowly, getting up to the top as you finish your exhale. And then hold here. Check that you're at the tops of your shoulder blades. You're not completely squeezing your hamstrings and glutes. They're working. But squeeze your abdominals. Tighten the whole backside of your body. Your hamstrings and your glutes, yes, but also your arms, your shoulders, your back. And then feel that equal pressure on each foot. The next time your breath is ready to inhale, make it a large one. Exhale, starting at the shoulder blades. Articulate through that spine in line with the bottom of the shoulder blades, 1 vertebra at a time, until you come all the way back to neutral, so that lumbar curve is there. Inhale here. Exhale and articulate up that nice, same slow pace. And really think of each inch of movement. Now elongate from the knee to the armpit. Make sure there's not much weight on your head. Your weight is on the tops of your shoulder blades. And then let's go ahead and come up on the toes and come back to flat-footed. Let's do that 3 times, keeping the pelvis as still as possible. And if you cramp, you gotta release for a moment. And then come back to flat-footed. Sorry about that. Come back to flat-footed, nice elongated spine. We're gonna tap our tailbone down, not super fast, so not hip dips. And feel those glutes to push along with the abdominals, the torso back up to bridge position. Now stay up on this 3rd one. Inhale largely. Exhale and articulate down 1 vertebra at a time. Now I want you to take your feet a little wider and turn out. So wider than the center of your hip joint. And we're going to do that slow exhale, articulating, really thinking about every inch of those abs, helping to pull that pelvis and spine up. Tighten up your glutes here and your hamstrings, but not super tight squeeze to where you cramp. Now let's go ahead and come up on the toes again and come back down flat-footed. And we'll do that 3 times, keeping our pelvis as still as possible. And then we'll tap that straight spine down to the floor so we don't release the weight on the floor unless we need to rest, and then absolutely do it. Just take a full rest. And then we're using our glutes, hamstrings, and our core muscles, the circumference of the torso. Inhale largely, exhale, and articulate down 1 vertebra at a time. relax the body. Let's take a little stretch here. So bring that right leg up, bringing that knee in. You can keep your head on the floor, or if you lift your torso, you'll get a little low back stretch there too. And then let that leg go down and bring the other leg up. And let that leg go down. So now let's finish up with feet together, palms and arms in the same position. So feet together, you decide how closely to bring your ankles to your bottom. Inhale here, exhale, articulate up, one vertebra at a time. And we're gonna come back onto the toes. So we'll follow that pattern. We did 3 of these. And then just be careful here that you're not bending at the pelvis, right? When you bring your feet up and down. So now we're going to tap the tailbone 3 times. And then I'm gonna add on to this. So go ahead and tighten up those glutes and close your rib cage, or tighten your abs around the ribs every time you exhale up. Now we're gonna butterfly the legs, but only as wide as the body. So we're not gonna roll on the outside of the feet. So open as wide as the body twice, just nice and slow, and feel where that range is. And now let's do 10 faster. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hold together. Inhale largely, exhale, and articulate down, one vertebra at a time. Let's go ahead and bring our right leg up, grab behind the thigh or the calf, and just kind of bring ourselves up to a sitting position. And then you're going to take your bottom back. Let's take our feet as wide as our body, unless we know that we have a lot of back and hamstring flexibility, then your legs can be together. Let's go ahead and slide our hands down the insides of our legs and grab the insides of our feet. And then I want you to wiggle your bottom behind you, so your sit bones are now behind you, and pull a little more deeply, and just feel that stretch. And some days we're tighter than others. So I can feel today my hamstrings and my back are tighter than they often are. So then I don't want to pull too hard. So make sure and listen to your body as to how hard or firmly you should be pulling to add to your stretch. And then release up into tall. Let's leave our legs elongated unless that bothers us in sitting. We can bring our knees up a little bit, which will take our torso back. If you can keep your legs down, that's great. Tighten up your thighs, sit in your neutral. So we have our natural curve of our lumbar. Our legs are tight, our feet are flexed, bottom of the feet are vertical, and this should be work just sitting here. And then we're going to lean back and get some abdominal work and come back forward. Now, if this makes us uncomfortable, perhaps we have a low back that we're concerned about, we're just gonna put our hands out to the side with a light touch on the floor. So this is a modification that if you feel like you need a little assistance, you're just gonna have your hands out there. And if you want a progression, if you wanna make it harder, you have a really healthy spine, you're gonna take your arms in line with your shoulders, palms toward each other. So find your level. You can also just rest your hands kind of in between those two is resting your hands on your thighs. Let's take the next one back and hold. So we're holding with that nice neutral spine and a slight diagonal. We can feel our quads working, we can feel our hip flexors working, and our core working. And if we have our arms up, we're nice and engaged through the arms and even through the shoulders and lats. And then let's go ahead and release and round all the way forward. Again, holding on to one part of our foot or leg and starting to bend our elbows, feeling a little stretch, really a big stretch, all the way from the back of the ankles, hopefully to the tops of the shoulders. And then let's go ahead and release that. Now we're gonna go into plank. We're gonna do 2 sets of planks. I'm gonna do one on the forearms and one on the hands. You pick whichever is best for you. I like to have my palms down. Some people need their palms toward each other to adjust for shoulder So you pick whichever's best for you. Elongate your body. Now press your forearms into the floor, including the heel of your hand. Feel how that really adds to your internal work. If you're feeling any low back stress here, I want you to go into what would be an imprint, right? Just this little tiny tuck of the pelvis. And we're holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Elongate everything and drop. Let's go ahead and go into child's pose. Knees together is traditional. Knee issues would be have your knees as far apart as needed. Tuck your forehead under to touch the floor if possible. And then arms elongated will give you some lat stretch. Hands on your feet with a pull will give you more lower back stretch, especially if you keep your stomach in. Now place your hands next to your head. Slowly, as you breathe, push yourself up. I'm going to do the next set on my hands. You guys choose what's best for you. I'm going to start with my feet together to give me a little more of a balance challenge. I'm going to make sure my feet are vertical. So that means my heels are probably not touching, and I can feel all 5 feet, or excuse me, all 5 toes on the floor, not 5 feet. And then slide those shoulders down. So for my people who want to progress this, you can hold a leg up and count to 5. For my people who want to modify, because maybe their back is bothering them, you can come down on your knees. So find what's best for you. Keep your abs in nice and strong. Slide your shoulders away from your ears. Lengthen through the legs. Tighten the thighs. Tighten your glutes a little bit. Press your heels away from you, maybe even feeling a calf stretch. 5, 4, 3, 2, and drop to the knees. This time, let's go into cat stretch. So round, and we're just gonna straighten. If you like to arch, feel free to do that. But here at Club Pilates for level 1, we just go into back extension straight rather than an arch. And then hold your curve now and take your bottom about halfway to your ankles. And feel how that elongates the low back. Keep your hands in head and knees where they are. And now take your hips a little to the right. Feel the stretch on the left of the spine. Take it back to center. Feel the stretch on the right. Do that for 2 more sets. Now this whole time your abs are in and your pelvis is tucked under. Your upper back is also rounded and shoulders are rounded forward. And then bring that spine back to center and come back to cat stretch. We're gonna go into some back extension from there. So we're gonna lay on our stomach, stack our hands, place our forehead on our hands, and then let our elbows be out comfortably and keep our back engaged so that our shoulders are pulling toward our hips with our back muscles. Exhale as you lift your right leg from the hip joint. Inhale as you lower. Exhale as you lift the left. Inhale as you lower. If you have a healthy spine, do both legs at the same time. If your low back is bothering you a little today, please stick with alternating right and left. Tighten your glutes as you do this. Keep your abdominals pulling in. Gentle pressure of the pubic bone on the floor. Tightening up your glutes as you lift. And then we're going to hold them up. Again, low back issues, take your legs wide, maybe as wide as the mat. And now let's swing those legs. We still have our forehead engaged with our tops of our hands. 5, 4, 3, 2, and take a rest. Relax everything. Turn your head to one side, not pressing, just lying there, getting a little stretch in the neck. Bring it back to center, turn it to the other side. Again, just getting a little stretch in the neck. And then come back to center. Now you're gonna hover your face right here. Take your hands out from underneath. You choose your arm position. Maybe they're gonna be extended at your ears if you have healthy shoulders. Maybe out to the side. I'm gonna choose to have mine alongside my body with my palms up today. So I'm not resting them on the floor. Wherever your arms are, I want you to engage your abdominals and lift only your arms, not your torso. And feel the control of choosing that rather than lifting the whole body. Now you're gonna lift the legs, again, not the torso, with the arms. And you can alternate on any of these, right? You can do single limbs and go around the body one at a time for all 4, however you want to do that. Now I want you to hold up feet and hands above the back of the body. Now if you want to lift your chest a little, just so the weight comes off of the chest, the body is still in contact with the floor. Feel the difference there. This is just a partial lift where you're still getting work. And then as you do this, really extend through the spine, pull the abs in. Let's do one more. And release down. Go ahead and put those hands back. This time I just want you to tuck your chin under. Top of the forehead is still in contact with the floor. Excuse me, with your hands. And then release. We're going to come up into a cat stretch. And then we're going to come up to standing. We're going to finish up with just a little bit of leg work here. So let's go ahead and take the outsides of our legs and feet at the same width as the outsides of our hips. And we're just going to hip hinge with our tailbone going back. So for those of you who do squats in class, we're usually at the bar. And we do a straight spine, like we're sitting down in a high back chair, but we can't do that without something to pull on. So these are a different kind of squat, taking our tailbone back and down, trying to keep our knees behind the midfoot. So yes, your knees are gonna go forward just a little bit, but keep them behind the midfoot, not over the toes. And keep those abs pulled in. If your low back bothers you, once you're down here, you might be arching too much, so you just do a little tiny tuck, not even a full imprint. Let's hold down on this one. Now really put the weight into your heels. Find your balance with your arms. Weight into your heels, not the outer or inner foot. And then let's pulse, but not too fast, just little ones and faster than what we were doing. And let's finish in 5, 4, 3, 2, and push yourself up. Good, and shake that out. Let's get a little back stretch here. So forearms on the thighs, tuck your tailbone under, and tuck your chin under, pull your abs in. Now you're gonna pedal your knees in this position. So feet stay on the floor, right knee goes forward, left hip goes up, left knee goes forward, right hip goes up. So go ahead and find a rhythm there. Make sure your shoulders aren't tight because of the neck and traps. In other words, don't let them come toward the ears. And let's do one more set. And then let's go ahead and release and come to standing. I want to get a hip flexor stretch today. Did a lot of hip flexor engagement at the very beginning of class. So we're going to take our feet about body width apart still. Both sets of knees and toes are straight forward, along with our hips, our belly button. Everything's the same, and it's the back foot that always wants to turn out a little bit. And then take your torso nice and straight. Now just take your arms comfortably in front of you and rotate your ribs toward the front leg, which on me is the left leg. Now squeeze the right half of your bottom as you do this 3 times, feeling a stretch in the front of the right hip. And then you're going to do the same thing the other direction. So both feet 12 o'clock, belly button, and your front of your hips all going the same way. You're in this nice neutral spine. I'm just moving my arms so that you can see a nice stretch here, by the way, is arms behind you and elongated. So I'm going to put mine there this way. Again, shoulder issues might not like this position. So you'll get a little deeper hip flexor stretch here. We have one more rotation. And release. And we're done. Thank you for joining me for mat 1, and I'll see you next time.